Alright, hey guys. Today I want to talk to you about the drag and drop functionality as it's done by Trello. I want to talk about how you could do it, and I'm going to show you an example of how I've done it. I'm going to provide the link into the repo in the description if you feel like checking it out. If you want to use it, go ahead. If you want to check it out, it's fine. If you want to suggest some improvements, that would be also really great. Okay, so let's look at what we're dealing with here today. So this Trello, the original. This is the result that we'll have, right? So it's about drag and dropping all these list elements on the board. Okay. Yeah, where am I? Okay, I'm here. So let's first talk about what happens when I start dragging. I grab the element, it gets rotated by 3 degrees, and as I grab it, look behind it, like there's a placeholder that gets inserted right away. So I drag it around, this placeholder gets inserted in the respective place where it belongs, based on the rule. The rule basically is we're calculating the closest element, the closest other list element. So in the case I'm dragging it's these 3 elements, and based on the rule, a placeholder gets inserted in their respective place, before or after them, All right. As I release, drag, the element replaces the placeholder. Okay, so that's basically the same thing as what happens here in my example. So it's you can find it on this address. Link is going to be in the description. To the repo, of course, I'm also going to provide it in the description. You can also get there by clicking the heading on this website. All right, so let's go to the repo. To run it, it's a classic download, clone, npm install, npm restart. A new browser tab should open at localhost 8080. All right, it's the default behavior. All right, let's look at the code. So the code is organized. The code related to the elements is organized in the components folder. I have 3 components here. As you can see, they are basically HTML custom elements. If you don't know how that works, go on MDN and read about it. It's basically allows you to either implement your own HTML elements or extend existing ones. For example, if I wanted to have a better input, like an input that does something special, but it's different than the default one, I would extend the HTML input element, and I would implement the extra functionality. All right. So, all right, let's go over these components real fast. We have these 3. Well, this is the list element. This is basically what we're seeing when we look here. Like, it's all these 4 elements. Okay. Next we have the drop zone. The drop zone is element gets created on the fly when I grab a list. Whichever I grab, there's a placeholder. Notice that the placeholder has the same size, same width, and background color. So that's basically all you need to create a placeholder. Didn't you know the height and the width of the dragged element and background color you actually provide? So for that reason, the placeholder is also called the drop zone. I like to call it drop zone because it's basically indicating where the element is gonna get dropped, right? Like whenever I release, it's going there. So call it drop zone. So that's basically what I created via a factory where I provide the blueprint. The blueprint is in this case, the list element. But notice how this could be reused. This is the original Trello. When I start dragging the cart, there's the same kind of placeholder, like basically the same kind of functionality. The placeholder has the same height, same width, and just a different background color. So basically you can be creating custom elements on the fly, custom job zones on the fly, which is really cool in my opinion. So I really like this approach. All right, and then finally we have the list deck. This is just the container that contains the list and the add list button. Okay, when you look here, it's just this container, basically. Okay, so let's look to where the magic happens. Magic happens here in this immediately invoked function expression that returns an object with some methods, calculate stuff, and the drag over DAG method that basically handles all the stuff related to dragging and dropping. And finally, there's a reset state. So via this closure, I can basically control the lifecycle of all these helpers, of all the classes that I'm using. Right. Let's see what happens when you start dragging. So we're in the list element class. This is the drag start method, which I pass into this even listener as a callback, right? Yeah. Notice if you're not familiar with custom elements, I suggest you read about it. But notice I can use this and basically refer to the element. Each element's this, there's a this for like there are 4 objects created right now, and I mean it's a really great way to interact with them. I hope you can see the advantages. All right, so what happens on drag start? There's some static stuff, just to help with the logic. The job zone is created, right? Like that's here. Job zone factory, I insert this, create the job zone. So this is the blueprint from which the job zone is created, the stuff I was talking about before. I applied the drag styling. Yeah, this could be done nicer. I mean, everybody does the job. I applied the drag styling, so I take it out of the flow by setting position fixed. I set a Z index so that there's nothing that's covering it, and I rotate it by 3 degrees, as you've seen that it's rotated when you drag it. Then as we go on, I insert the job zone, and I call the init method of this object that is returned by the immediately invoked function expression. So this is how what happens when I start dragging. I pass in to the init method. I pass in this. So the currently dragged list element, the x coordinate, the y coordinate, and the drop zone that I created, right? And I create a drag image. This is really important because if you don't set a drag image, I'm creating an empty drag image. If you don't set a drag image, it's going to, defaultly, it's going to be an opaque copy of the element, like a 50% opaque copy of the element. So I'm using this, I have this module here that helps with it, so it's an empty image, right? Let's go back. Right, and what happens on drag end? I'll basically reset state, so that's how I control the lifecycle of all the helper stuff that gets invoked and calculated when I handle these drag events. Okay. So one more important thing is I'm using this method in the DAG class as well. There's a drag over method that gets passed in as a callback to this even listener. Drag over even listener, it passes the this of this current class, right? Of this current object that's created. So that's basically the container and the current x and the current y. So this gets fired every time drag happens, like all the time, continuously as the drag is happening. It changes by a pixel and gets fired, right? There's one last thing I want to show you, that this is basically where all the magic happens. Get closest element in direction. All right, and let's add an even listener. Okay, now when I click, I should get the closest element. All right, so far the closest is list 4. When I click here, I'm still going left. It should still be list 4. It should still be list 4. When I pass by the half, it should be list 3. It should be list 3 still. List 3, list 3, list 2, list 2, list 2, list 1. All right. All the same would apply going in the different direction. You just need to set it here. Okay, so let's explain how this works. So basically, it's a reduce that gets called on all the elements. Just get the object, you know, that returns from bounding line, right? That gives you the coordinate and that stuff, and you calculate. You calculate the coordinate minus box edge, so box edge, box right or box left, depending on direction, plus box width divided by 2. This gives you the offset. This offset is then checked here. So we're looking at always having a number under 0, greater than minus box width, and greater than the offset in the accumulator. So that would the accumulator gets an initial value of number negative infinity. All right. So this is just to ensure that all the other elements that we're looking to are basically closer and closer and closer. This is something I came up with using some experimenting and Googling and all this stuff. I think this is the most important method in the project. So if you'd like to re-implement this functionality, by all means, go ahead. If you want to copy it, go ahead, copy it and use it. Well, right. Well, that was it. I hope you learned something from this video. Okay, now that I'm dragging around, I can say something more. Yeah, there's a scroll implemented. Oh, I'm just scrolling the container. It's not the perfect scroll, right? Just some magic numbers here that I was playing around with that were giving me some satisfactory result. In fact, scroll functionality is also not the greatest on Trello. Like, let's look at this. Like, what happens here? Like, I can't go more further. I mean, yeah, it's not the greatest. I think this is a better example of how you can implement it. You know, because one day you're gonna have so many lists on the board, no matter the size of your monitor, you will just not fit them in. So this is something to think about as well. All right. Well, so that was it. Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, just feel free to comment and tell me if you'd like to ask about something, like you're implementing this on your own. You don't understand something in the code. Feel free to text me. All right.